Hello everybody, it is me Casey, and today we are doing another part of Yandere Gojo. And before my voice decides to say, hey, so I'm gonna give you the worstest time, I hope you guys really enjoy that. I'm gonna drink some water. Okay, let's get straight into this. 3, 2, 1. It has been around 3 days since Gojo has trapped you in your room because of your little escape attempt. He only slid meals through a little gap in your door. You were forced to survive off of the meals. You couldn't get snacks because Gojo was mad at you. You couldn't do a lot of things. The games were taken away from you, leaving you with a book and some coloring supplies and a sketchbook. That's all you had to entertain you. Nothing else. Then, finally, you hear the door click, and then another click, and then another one click. 3 locks? You thought to yourself. 3 locks were on my door. Before the door slams open, and Gojo is there. He looked at you before saying, "Did you learn?" You looked at Gojo before saying, "No." He was mad. He wanted you to say, "Oh, yes, I learned. I now realize that I loved you for all of this time." I'm being dramatic as heck. He just wanted you to be broken. You looked at Gojo with those eyes of hatred. He looked back at you with the eyes of love, wanting. That's all he would look at you with. All he could look at you with. He would never look at you with any other... 1 minute. He would never look at you and say, "You're ugly," or "You're not worthy of him." If anything, he was unworthy of you. That's what he thought. When you said no to his question, he looked back at you before saying, "Well, I guess I had to leave you in here for another, how about 3 more days of pure torture. You know, if I turn off this light, you'll be scared, begging me to turn back on the light, begging me to come in here. But I won't until those 3 days are over. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do." He turns off the light. The room goes completely dark. Since there was no window to provide just a little bit of sunlight, it was actually pitch dark. There was no light, nothing. You were scared. You tried looking around for any light source at all. You couldn't find anything. You looked in the dressers, the ones you could find at least, the closet, nothing. Even on the table, nothing. You were getting more scared. You started to beg Gojo to turn back on the light. He refused to. You thought that you thought that the closet might have a light switch. You're wrong. You felt around and you couldn't feel one at all. For 3 days, you suffered in the dark, getting paranoid because it was too dark. It felt like you were being tortured. Your mind started seeing things that wasn't there. When Gojo finally opened the door, you ran to him, hugging him. This was your first human interaction for 3 days. And it was your first time seeing light. In 3 days. He looked at you before saying, "Somebody's really clingy today." You looked at him, holding his hand, hugging him, before saying, You came back? Thank God. I thought it was a week." Gojo looked at you before saying, "No, it's only been 3 days." He picked you up before putting you into his room. Not putting you into his room, dragging you into his room. You sat there on his bed while he was getting ready. "What's going on, Gojo?" you said in that desperate tone. Gojo looked at you before saying, "Oh, nothing. Just, we're going out." "We're going out? Where?" "Well, you've been cooped up in that room for, I believe, 6 days, right?" You thought to yourself, you didn't really know. I don't know, actually." Gojo counted the first 3 days where you were stuck in the room full of light, then the day where you were just stuck in a room full of darkness. And yeah, it was correct. You were stuck in there for around 3 days. Not 3 days, 6 days. Gojo looked at you before saying, "Well, we're going to the backyard. There's a fence that you most definitely can't pass. And it's a garden back there, basically," he said while smiling. You looked at him before saying, "Ooh, yay!" This was your first taste of actual freedom in around 6 days? I don't know. You thought it might be 7 days, counting the first day, but you didn't really know. So Gojo took you outside. You looked at all the flowers. They are all super pretty. And you saw this cute little cat that was roaming around outside. It had white hair like Gojo's hair, blue eyes just like him. And he had that personality that said, "Fluff off if you're not sweet." Gojo looked at you while you were playing around with the kitty, when he felt something. Someone was watching you. Someone was nearby. He let you play for another 20 more minutes outside before saying, "Yin, come on, you gotta go back inside." You looked at him before saying, "Oh, come on, can we just stay out here for another 10 more minutes, Gojo?" Gojo looked at you before saying, "Inside, now." You looked at him before saying, "Okay." You walked back inside and sat down on the couch. Gojo saw that you were a little bit sad and said, "I'm sorry, Yin. I have to." You looked at him before saying, "Why?" "Because, Yin, it's dangerous out there. There's all sorts of demons and curses out there." "What?" He forgot that you didn't know anything about curses or anything like that. So he said, "Nothing, don't worry about it. There's men that want to hurt you out there." You looked at him. You didn't know what to do. So you said, "Okay." He told you to go stay in his room. Since you were still traumatized from your room, you were too scared to go back into the dark. So he told you to go in his room. You lay down on his bed, snuggling into his pillows and everything. You were just sitting there playing with a Game Boy that you found inside the room. Not surprising. Surprising that he had a game. It was a bit surprising that It was a bit surprising that Gojo had a Game Boy inside his room. You didn't see him as the type to want to play on a Game Boy. Not one bit. But apparently he did. So you played a couple of games, you watched a couple of movies. When Gojo came back, you were knocked out on top of his bed. He looked at you, seeing that you were snuggled into the blankets, and decided to just take off his clothes, take a quick shower, and just go to sleep with you. And he did exactly that, making sure to hide the keys to the house and everything. That way, if you were to try to run away, you wouldn't be able to succeed. He hugged you after taking a quick shower and putting on some sleeping clothes. "Good night," he said, before drifting off into sleep. And that is it, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want more, then comment that down below. Yeah, pretty much bye.